presents
Asia. It is ancient, it is new, it is old, it is young, it is spirited, it is wise, it is calm, it is patient, it is submissive, it is thoughtful, it is thoughtless, it is holy, it is faithful, it is mysterious and strange. In Asia, we believe that truth is not this or that, but both. That opposites must coexist or annihilate each other. That what happens before is linked to what happens after. That the promise of the future is in the wisdom of the past. And that all things come around. This is Asia.
What is it about the ocean that stirs the mind and soul? What secrets might one discover in every graceful dance of these waves? Every step, every turn, every rise and fall of these white caps takes you to a new rhythm, a different beat. Majesty, mystery, and wonder await anyone who dares to set foot into this liquid odyssey. About 100 million years ago, volcanic eruptions gave birth to islands in these tropical seas, setting the stage for an intricate choreography of marine life. Coral reefs surrounding the volcanic islands grew upwards. As the islands sank, the corals continued to grow until the reef formed a ring or a barrier reef island with a lagoon at the center. Over time, ocean currents moved the volcanic islands further below the ocean surface, while the barrier reef remained, forming an atoll. The Philippines' Tubbataha Reefs are a pair of atolls made up of islets, fringing reefs, and coral walls that are home to amongst the most diverse marine creatures on Earth. Smack in the center of the Sulu Sea, the Tubbataha Reefs lie along the Cagayan Ridge, starting from the Sultana Shoal and Cagayancillo, running southwest to the San Miguel Islands of Tawi-Tawi. The reefs lie southwest of mainland Palawan in the Visayan region of the Philippines, 150 kilometers from the capital city of Puerto Princesa. The Pacific Ocean kicks up powerful bursts of energy that reverberate far and wide, brewing an interesting mix of life. The rhythm and music of one affects that of the other. The rhythm of Tubbataha is felt throughout other parts of Palawan. Tubbataha sets the pace for coral and fish larvae dancing about in Palawan and other islands in the Sulu Sea. Its supply of food fish helps ensure the food security of the Philippines and other Southeast Asian countries. The Tubbataha Reef Nature Park and World Heritage Site consists of a breathtaking 10,000-hectare coral reef backdrop for a multitude of dancers, all essential partners in the waltz of life. 396 species of corals. That's 90% of all coral species in the Philippines, or about half of all coral species in the world. 483 species of fish such as the endangered Napoleon wrasse and important food fish like tuna. 14 species of whales and dolphins such as killer and sperm whales, spinner and bottlenose dolphins. 2 of 7 known species of marine turtles, the green and hawksbill turtles. manta rays and at least 10 species of sharks, including the white-tip, tiger, hammerhead, and whale sharks. The chemistry between the ocean dancers has captivated many audiences. In the early 1980s, biologists, oceanographers, and geologists, fascinated with the reef formation and abundance of marine life here, brought a new beat and pulse to Tubbataha through research activities. This ushered in a new group of performers into the dance of the waves. Since then, non-government organizations, government agencies, local communities, and the private sector have taken steps back and forth in what may be compared to ceremonial dances to protect this special patch of the Sulu-Sulawesi seascape, known as the Cagayan Ridge Corridor. Conservation International, or CI, plays a lead role in this marvelous performance. CI applies innovations in science, economics, policy, and community participation to protect the Earth's natural treasures. Tubbataha is brimming with treasure troves of the most diverse marine life.
Switch to DirecTV today and get a free upgrade to the all-new Genie, our most advanced HD DVR ever. Genie serves your entire home with just one receiver, allows you to record any 5 shows at once, and gives you up to 3 times more HD recording capacity than cable. Order now and lock in your savings for 2 years. Other packages start at just $29.99 a month. So get all your TV wishes granted. Switch to DirecTV and get your free upgrade to Genie today.
According to Conservation International's Vivian Facunda, Tubbataha is an important rookery and breeding ground of migrant and resident bird species, such as the red-footed booby. Some globally threatened bird species, such as the critically endangered Christmas Island frigate bird, are also found here. Vivian says that with 7 species of breeding seabirds, Tubbataha is also home to the last intact seabird habitat in the Philippines. The park's beauty and grandeur are a boon for tourism and therefore a source of economic benefits for the country. The origins of Tubbataha involve a complex dance that continues today, showing how the movement of one dancer affects the connection and movement of another. The name Tubbataha came from the Samal, a seafaring people of the Sulu Sea. The word refers to a long reef exposed at low tide, which describes the reef's crests marking the atoll's edges. The islands remain uninhabited through the years due to the absence of fresh water. Tubbataha is more closely associated with the islands of Cagayancillo, the nearest human settlement. The reefs were traditionally called Gusong by the Cagayanons, the people of Cagayancillo. The Cagayanons, Samals, Bajaos, and Tausugs were the traditional users of Tubbataha's resources. Tragedy struck in the late 1980s when overfishing and destructive fishing practices became rampant. Having depleted their local fish stocks, Cagayanon fishermen sailed to Gusong to gather fish, shells, turtles, seabirds, and their eggs. The journey between Cagayancillo and Tubbataha was extremely difficult, so fishermen would take as much marine resources as their boats could hold, because they never knew when conditions would allow another trip. By the mid-1980s, seaweed farming was introduced in Cagayancillo, which became an alternative source of income for the Cagayanons. This did not ease fishing pressure on Tubbataha as expected, however, since fishermen from Cagayancillo were replaced by those from the neighboring Visayan provinces. Thus began the tragic dance of destruction in Tubbataha. Visayan fishermen introduced dynamite and cyanide fishing and caused more damage in a few years than the traditional Sulu seafarers did over 1,000 years. Fish stocks were rapidly depleted. Coral cover was reduced by 50% over a 5-year period ending in 1989. Research findings and increasing evidence of damage of the reef's marine life led to efforts to protect Tubbataha. A presidential proclamation in 1988, under the administration of Corazon Aquino, led to the creation of the Tubbataha Reef National Marine Park. It was the first national marine park in the Philippines. The proclamation meant that fishing was no longer allowed in Tubbataha. The collection and gathering of corals and marine wildlife was banned, as well as disturbance and destruction of the habitat. Tubbataha had earned much international acclaim by the 1990s. In 1993, it was declared a World Heritage Site by the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, or UNESCO. In 1999, Tubbataha was added to the Ramsar list of wetlands of international importance. This means it is governed by an intergovernmental treaty, providing the framework for national action and international cooperation for the conservation and proper use of wetlands and their resources. International recognition of Tubbataha invited yet more rhythms and dances into the performance, creating the impetus for various sectors of Philippine society to rally behind the imposition of severe sanctions against poachers. In 2006, President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo signed a proclamation expanding the park threefold to 96,828 hectares and increasing protection from unauthorized entries and pollution of any kind. It is now known as Tubbataha Reef Natural Park. The protection and management of this natural treasure also involves a complex tango of give and take. The abundant marine resources of Tubbataha are constantly being eyed by local and foreign pirates. The isolation of the reefs have made proper management and law enforcement a big challenge. Non-governmental organizations and the government have worked together towards synchronized or complementary moves to manage the park since its establishment in 1988. Due to widespread poverty and lack of alternative livelihoods among the inhabitants, the municipal government of Cagayancillo, which administers Tubbataha, could not immediately hinder local fishermen from fishing in the national park. The protection of the Tubbataha Reefs directly affects people from the nearby Cagayancillo municipality who depend on the reef for their livelihood. Residents here originally resented the establishment of the protected area because of loss of access to unrestricted fishing rights. Mayor Joel Carceler of Cagayancillo says that the protection of Tubbataha has been a boon to their municipality. More fish and other marine life are returning to their surrounding waters, which are believed to come from Tubbataha. The persistence of illegal fishing practices in Tubbataha eventually ushered in the participation of the Philippine Navy with assistance from NGOs assigned to patrol the area to stop illegal fishing. In 1997, all fishing activities were prohibited within the park and a ranger station was constructed. In 1998, a park management board was put into place. The Tubbataha Protected Area Management Board, or TPAMB, is the policy-making body responsible for the general administration and management of the park. WWF Philippines helped establish the Tubbataha Management Office, or TMO, in 2001 to act as the implementing arm of the TPAMB, overseeing the daily park management operations. The enforcement of park rules has posed one of the biggest challenges for management. It has served as the recurring tension blocking the flow and progression of Tubbataha's evolving dance. International fleets from China, Malaysia, Indonesia, and the Philippines, which dominate the unsustainable live food fish trade, scour the waters of Southeast Asia, including the Tubbataha Reefs, most of the year. Some use legal fishing methods. Many do not, and it's often difficult to determine how a fish was caught. The animals are shipped alive to Asian restaurants to supply a ravenous market for fresh seafood. With a growing gourmet appetite for live reef fish and the demand for exotic specimens to supply the aquarium trade in Europe and the United States, the Tubbataha Reef status as one of the world's greatest centers for marine biodiversity is in serious jeopardy. Adelina Villena, Legal Division Head of the Palawan Council for Sustainable Development, or PCSD, says that Chinese poachers are a recurring problem for Tubbataha, and the legal battles that ensue are a constant source of grief for the litigators. The reefs are also at risk from potential offshore oil and gas exploration activities and solid waste pollution. Garbage is often dumped into the sea from passing boats, or from areas as far away as Malaysia, as seen through their labels.
Switch to DirecTV today and get a free upgrade to the all-new Genie, our most advanced HD DVR ever. Genie serves your entire home with just one receiver, allows you to record any 5 shows at once, and gives you up to 3 times more HD recording capacity than cable. Order now and lock in your savings for 2 years. Other packages start at just $29.99 a month. So get all your TV wishes granted. Switch to DirecTV and get your free upgrade to Genie today.
Subsistence fishing around Tubbataha Reef National Park remains a contentious issue. Cagayancillo is wrought with poverty. Majority of the population continue to rely on fishing as a main source of income.
5'7", 5'2".
The small island of Kawili is renowned for seaweed farming, but there are mixed sentiments over whether or not this provides a sufficient alternative source of income to fishing. Nisan Abados, councilor of Kawili Island, has some reservations. He says that seaweed farming is not always a viable source of income for the locals, especially since conditions are getting worse due to the effects of climate change. This woman, a resident of Kawili Island, sifts through a newly harvested batch of guso, the local name for this particular kind of seaweed, which is planted along the seashore. After waiting a month for the guso plant to mature, she dries them out in the sun before packing them in sacks to be sold to traders from Cebu. She says that the seasons for seaweed farming are very unpredictable. Lately, the harvest has been small, as the seaweed plants have been suffering from disease they refer to locally as ice, due to the tiny bacteria formations resembling ice that grow on the seaweed. She says that in this enterprise, one always has to be on the lookout for other ways to make a living. This may be the reason why this fisherman continues to hunt sharks and giant clams as part of his subsistence fishing in Kawili Island's surrounding waters. He must make a living to support his wife and 7 children. Born and raised on the island, this man comes from a family of fishers. He still remembers clearly how during the early 90s, fishers from other Visayan provinces came to Kawili in search of sharks to supply the demand for shark oil, believed to provide health benefits. He says that today there is still a market for shark fins, jaws, and teeth. He does not waste any part of the shark, using the rest of the meat for food. With this, he earns about $100 a month, which he says he could not possibly earn through seaweed farming alone. After every fall, a dancer must rise and continue on with a performance. The story of Tubbataha shows that indeed, there is hope and recovery after tragedy. This involves another dance, where one partner leads and another follows. It is called Protected Area Management, which is akin to the dialogue between dance partners, each contributing to the style and mood of the dance through their individual moves. Science has shown that marine protected areas, or MPAs, are effective at preserving unique marine habitats, such as those found in the Cagayan Ridge Corridor. They restore fish populations that reside within the protected area and ensure the conservation of other marine treasures. Every year since 1997, research teams have visited Tubbataha to gather data on the health of the reef, studying the corals, fishes, seagrasses, seabirds, marine plankton, and marine mammals such as dolphins and whales. The research findings provide the foundation for carrying out the Tubbataha Reef Natural Parks Management Plan. CI continues to conduct such surveys in the area with the help of local communities, wildlife organizations, and public agencies. The studies aid researchers in determining what measures will foster the long-term health of the reefs. They also contribute to the assessment of the existing MPAs. Studies have also shown that Tubbataha has recovered from the losses resulting from illegal and unregulated fishing, as well as the exploitation of other marine resources, as evidenced in the recovery of the marine environment here. When it comes to safeguarding Tubbataha, the toughest role goes to the Marine Park Rangers. The 7-man composite team posted at the isolated ranger station in Tubbataha's North Atoll. They provide the sustaining beat to this ever-evolving dance performance. In the hands of these 7 Marine Park Rangers lies the heavy burden of protecting some 98,000 hectares of marine treasure troves. There are 3 members from the Philippine Navy, 2 from the Philippine Coast Guard, and 2 from the Tubbataha Management Office. Captain Henry Caballero, Philippine Coast Guard Commander of Palawan, refers to these unsung heroes as peace officers. They provide security enforcement support to the Tubbataha Reefs by checking fishing boats within the park boundaries to verify their activities and provide information on the protected status of the reefs. If illegal acts are discovered, the case moves from monitoring to arrest. This troop of bright, witty, and courageous gentlemen goes far beyond the call of duty. They endure a 3-month rotation of duty in difficult conditions. No free-flowing sources of fresh water, no electricity, limited food supplies. Here, one is forced to relearn the values of patience and serenity.
Switch to DirecTV today and get a free upgrade to the all-new Genie, our most advanced HD DVR ever. Genie serves your entire home with just one receiver, allows you to record any 5 shows at once, and gives you up to 3 times more HD recording capacity than cable. Order now and lock in your savings for 2 years. Other packages start at just $29.99 a month. So get all your TV wishes granted. Switch to DirecTV and get your free upgrade to Genie today.
The Tubbataha Management Office collaborates with the scuba diving live-aboard boat operators in the area, who contribute to the conservation of the site by paying entry fees and collecting fees from their guests. The dive operators also report suspicious events in the area, such as the presence of illegal users. The willingness to pay survey conducted among divers in 1999 showed that the average diver was willing to pay $41 per visit. Using these results, a 2-tiered pricing scheme was developed for foreign and local divers. After 2 years of fee collection, the total fee collected amounted to $65,000, which covered 28% of the annual recurring costs and nearly 41% of the core costs to protect Tubbataha. The conservation fee from divers has proved to be a source of sustainable financing for Tubbataha Reefs Natural Park. One of the star performers of this marine protection ballet is Angelique Songko, Tubbataha Management Office Park Manager. She says that tourism is a bonus resulting from the management of this marine protected area.
Tourism is a side effect of the protection and the maintenance of the biodiversity of the reefs. We are actually protecting the site so that it will continue to deliver the ecosystem goods and services that it has delivered throughout the years. It is not mainly for tourism, but tourism is the source of revenues so that we can continue to manage the site.
Success is also about striking a careful balance between costs and benefits. Improving both the economical and biological health of fisheries appeals not only to fishermen, but also to anyone who is interested in the sustainable use of our ocean resources.
The people of Cagayancillo used to fish in Tubbataha, but then this fishing right had to be forgone because it became a national park. That is the cost to the people of Cagayancillo, that they cannot fish anymore. But the benefits that they get from that is from the conservation fee collections in Tubbataha. We give them 7%, and this year it's going to be 10%. The diving sector has costs also that they have to pay, like the entrance fees, conservation fees, and vessel entry fees. But in exchange for that, they have this wonderful site to dive in, and they can continue their business and generate profits from that. And the cost to the government agencies is also quite high in exchange for, hopefully, continued increase in fishery productivity for their constituents. Everybody shares in the costs and in the benefits, and it makes it less expensive, less difficult. I think that is the source of the modest success that we enjoy now.
Listen closely, and you might just hear the rhythm of Tubbataha's success in the graceful dance of these waves. CI Philippines Executive Director Romeo Trono says that their conservation success lies in a delicate choreography of dance steps, pirouetting around courage, integrity, passion, respect, and optimism.
From my 30 years of experience in doing conservation work in the Philippines, I've realized that conservation in a developing country like the Philippines is always an uphill climb. You'll face a lot of challenges, issues, you'll face a lot of threats, even to your life. If you want to succeed in this work, you need a passion. You need a passion for it to be able to move forward with your conservation agenda. There are a lot of political as well as developmental issues that you will be facing in conservation work. Balancing conservation and development is critical if you want to get the participation of a broad range of stakeholders.
Tubbataha thrives on the rhythm of hope, of success multiplied by partners sharing the stage, of rebirth and new chances for recovery, of survival against the odds. In the graceful dance of the waves, we are all performers and musicians.
This has been a presentation of VATV.